Hello, I'm joined today by my guest Etan from Help Me Fix. How you doing, Etan?
I'm really good, thanks. Thanks for having me on the Kerfuffle Supplier Spotlight.
It's a pleasure. We've been trying to pin you down for a while now, Etan, because you're one of those suppliers that is out there busy doing great things with agents, and we hear lots and lots about it. And we needed to get you in front of a camera to ask you firsthand. Um, Etan, for those people that have been living under a rock and don't know what it is that Help Me Fix do, the clue is in the title a little bit. But why don't you sort of just pitch it to us as you would do to any agent?
Yeah, absolutely, David. So Help Me Fix is a service that connects tenants to tradespeople over video, to solve simple issues remotely without physical attendance, and to diagnose more complicated ones, so that when you send your contractor, he can turn up with the right bits, first time fix it, and save money for your landlord and save time for your property management team.
So effectively, Help Me Fix sort of slots into that zone before it hits your maintenance team. They're sort of taking the calls. They're trying to sort of ascertain whether it's worth sending somebody out or whether it can be actually solved over the phone. Now, for old school property managers that are watching this today and are horrified by the prospect of us talking tenants through repairs, tell us in real terms what that actually means, because I know you're not empowering anybody to get a blowtorch out and start having a go at things themselves, are you?
No, we don't get them to strip down boilers. I have had a few really capable tenants, but how it usually works is when the tenant has a problem, they'll basically go to the agent's website, and that can either be via FixFlow or via the Help Me Fix software portal. But they'll basically press a picture that corresponds to their problem. So if it's like a plumbing issue, they'll press the tap. Then what our system does is it kind of alerts all of the plumbers that are available to take calls, and then whoever is available picks up the call and they're connected over video. And then essentially there's a bit of kind of a knowledge transfer where the tenant will tell the engineer what the problem is. The engineer will take photos on their app, guide the tenant through either resolving it. So if it's something simple like a pressure top up that we can do on site, or a tripped RCD, then we'll do that with the tenant over the video call. And if it's something more complicated, the engineer fills out a call report at the end, which has all the information on what's required to fix it, what happened on the call, is it going to be an insurance claim, any information about the tenant that's important. And then they'll attach all the photos, they click send, and then a tidy PDF comes over to the property manager's desk with all of the information on it. And then on the back of that, we can also, if further works are required, we can instruct the agent's contractor to attend or request quotes, or pretty much anything off the back of that call report.
It's really great. So if anybody gets a chance, I've seen a couple of recordings of these calls floating around on social media. I think I might have caught one on TikTok even. And it's great just to see that at the beginning of the call, it's the usual, we've got a problem with our boiler. We've lost pressure, that it's dripping, whatever it may be. And there's that kind of note of panic from the tenant because they're not quite sure what they're doing. Your guy very quickly sort of calms them down, talks them through it, and assures them that they're not doing anything that's going to break it further, but they're helping to sort of diagnose. Now, he was able at the end of that call to diagnose what the problem was. And I'm assuming from looking at that, he'd know what parts are now necessary in order to fix this. So rather than, I mean, agents might be out there going, well, yeah, if we know there's a problem with a boiler, we'll send a plumber. But how many times does that actually get fixed first time? And I can tell you there's an awful lot of, I need this part, I need that part, we haven't got this in store. So you're actually able to send somebody to repair it first time round rather than sending people backwards and forwards, right?
Yeah, so that was how the service kind of came about. So for anyone that doesn't know, I was a gas engineer and plumber, and owned a plumbing and heating and electrical company with loads of vans, and going around and fixing things for agents. And we work for agents, which is basically what we did. A lot of whom are actually our clients now, which is really nice. But essentially, we always used to have to go drive to the property, have a look at the issue, And if it was, for instance, like a kitchen tap that was dripping, we would then at that point submit a job report, say kitchen tap's dripping, it can't be repaired, it's not that type of tap, it needs to be replaced. And then the landlord will go, what do you mean you charged me £85 to look at my kitchen tap and tell me it was leaking? And we're like, well, we drove from, Watford to Harrow, which took half an hour, and then lugged the tools up the stairs, did the report, and then had to go all the way back in. It was a 2-hour round trip. And we couldn't get authorization at the time for the extra works. So unfortunately, that's a call out. Like can't get around it. Now, that was where it all sort of came from. And our engineers, one of the great things that they do on those calls is that they'll snapshot the part. So for instance, they'll take a screenshot of the part that's required, any other kind of consumables as well. So for instance, if it's a tap, they'll have a look under the sink and be like, oh, it needs a couple of new flexies, or it needs an isolation valve. So a physical contractor gets that, they can relive the call footage, and actually they've got pictures and part numbers that they can then take and first time fix, and they can quote before they even leave their house. So, and that's the real value of what we do.
So the obvious savings with this product is that obviously you're saving valuable time, diagnostic time, I suppose, but you're saving everybody's time within the property management department, or even landlords themselves. But the other net result, we don't often talk about this a lot, because there genuinely aren't a lot of products that agents can use that actively save their landlords money. Very, very few. This is probably one of the only ones, if not the only one, that is almost guaranteed to add to your landlord's bottom line at the end of the year, by helping them not spend money on diagnostic time or repairs that are not necessary, because you're able to sort of get to the root of the problem very quickly. On some occasions, you're even able to sort of get a fix without anybody having to return to the property again. How realistic is that? What percentage of cases are you able to sort of get sorted on a call?
60% of the time we can accurately sort of diagnose it. About 20% of the time, between 15 and 20% of the time, we can permanently resolve it, which is where no one needs to go out. And then our temporary resolve sits at around 8 to 10%, which means middle of the night, tenant's got no hot water. We manage to diagnose a faulty 2-port valve and then switch on the immersion and get them hot water again. That would be temporary.
Now, we're not allowed to tell you who the agent is, but what I can tell you is there's some pretty interesting statistics that you provided us with that just show a sort of an active example of what your product does and how it's helped. But Help Me Fix recently saved one very large agency 65 hours of property management time in just 1 month, by successfully triaging 82% of incoming maintenance issues, which also saved the landlords, you've calculated it, £7,830 in the same 1 month period. That's a hell of a result, isn't it?
It is. It's pretty sort of standard data for us. I think it's one of those things where the one thing we always get is it does what it says on the tin. So when we do work with a large agent like this, I think this agent you're talking about has around 1,200 units. But actually, the bigger the agency, the bigger the savings, because the bigger the agency, they have bigger problems. They have, they work with contractors that are, of a certain size that they have to charge a call out charge. A lot of the smaller regionals, they don't, smaller kind of smaller agents don't have better relationships with their contractors, and also contractors and agents that are in like cities also see massive savings, because they don't have to run around after contractors trying to find availability, sending them to properties. So agents like these really do benefit from the service. And yeah, the data is pretty typical.
And the savings doesn't really stop there. So you're saving time on property management. You are saving money for the landlords, but another major saving. And we live in a brave new world where we need to embrace this as much as possible. But you're making massive carbon savings in terms of wasted trips and the miles and the mileage and the petrol and the damage to the environment in the long run. I mean, we spoke with one of your colleagues off camera earlier. from that same 1 month period that we were talking about now with that major agent, where they'd saved the landlords, £7,830 of repairs, you also saved 70 kilograms of carbon, which is huge, because let's face it, we all need to try and find ways where we can all together collaboratively sort of bring down our carbon footprint however we can.
Yeah, I think, it's a really easy thing to calculate. If you've got a diesel van that's driving to and from a property twice to fix something, and actually they've only got to go once, well, it's gonna drive down that carbon footprint. There's lots of goodness, there's lots of good stuff that comes off the back of it. I think, if you're sort of an agent that isn't really thinking about that kind of thing, and doesn't need to think about it, then that's great. But if you're a large corporate company, and you'll have ESG targets, and that those kind of things will be important for you. Your customers will care, your partners will care, and it's just a sort of a byproduct of what we do, which is over in social housing. That's one of the first things they look at. A
Value
lot
for
of
money, yeah, and
yeah, but yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, the carbon footprint thing is a real thing. We're helping where we can. And yeah, hopefully it's important to everyone out there.
fantastic. So I need to ask you this question. It might be a more boring question. We're not talking about savings now, but we're talking about how well you work with others. And I'm glad to say that you do play very nicely with others. You have a number of different integrations or working partnerships with different solutions. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of our main partners is obviously FixFlow. Everyone knows who FixFlow is. We have a kind of what I'd call a native integration with FixFlow. So we sort of are the video maintenance part of FixFlow's contractor marketplace. So anyone that basically uses FixFlow can activate and switch on Help Me Fix really easily in like a day or two, which means that via FixFlow we also integrate with all of the major CRMs, which is very, very handy for us. Thanks, FixFlow. Outside of FixFlow, we've got an integration with Coho. Hey, Coho, who are good friends of ours as well, and great people to work with. We integrate with a lot of other platforms via Zapier. So, for instance, Apex 27, Arthur, all of those you can connect up using our Zapier integration.
And what's interesting about that is that some people may think, well, I've got FixFlow, I don't need Help Me Fix. I've got Help Me Fix, I don't need FixFlow. But the truth is, FixFlow has been great at giving us a platform that easily communicates repair issues and allows us to manage and handle them, and has been doing for years. It's never really had that triage ability there. That's really where the two things slot together, isn't it?
Yeah, so they're like very, very good together. In fact, more powerful together than they are even separately, because you've got, so during the FixFlow, anyone that's got FixFlow knows it's got this really cool picture-based repairs reporting. And then essentially the tenant gets pop-ups with advice on how to fix the issue themselves going through that process. Now that will wipe out about 20% of repairs off the bat, right? So you've got FixFlow's 20%. Then the remaining issues go to Help Me Fix as a second stage. You wipe out another 15-20% off the bat. And then so what lands on the property manager's desk is actually 20% of 80%, which actually is about 65% of what they would have had initially. And then after the Help Me Fix call, especially out of hours, you can then instruct a contractor automatically via FixFlow's contractor marketplace. So if it's like an out of hours situation, you can instruct the out of hours contractor there. And so actually they work really well, very seamlessly together. The integration's really cool. So everything that happens in Help Me Fix updates in FixFlow. So yeah, it's a great integration, and anyone that uses FixFlow and wants to drive efficiency into their property management systems should look at us as a kind of second add-on, I guess.
Now, you've got one contractor that I believe is going viral, Bob, but you've also got many others as well. Give us the sort of background of these contractors. Who are they? Who are the sort of people that you're using? And yeah.
So we're really, really specific in who's good for Help Me Fix and who isn't. We hire semi-retired tradespeople primarily, so people that can't do the job anymore physically or don't want to do the job physically anymore. or want to do a bit of both and are coming off the tools. They're the people that we target for our recruitment pipeline. Bob is a bit of a national celebrity. We talk about Bob a lot. He did go viral on TikTok recently, like 18,000 views or something. But we've got loads and loads of great people that have joined us over the years, and have used Help Me Fix as a way to subsidize, they're having to go in on the tools every day. We vet them. We've got a very targeted recruitment pipeline. We check their qualifications, we interview them, then they get enrolled in what we call the Help Me Fix Academy, where they undergo loads of grueling tests and assessments and horrible stuff like that. And then we continually spot check them. And yeah, I think the engineers are at the heart of what we do. Like, anyone can build tech, anyone with like millions and millions of pounds and loads of time can build tech, but I think the true value in our solution is the people that are connected to those tenants, and that's what we do.
And when they're offering sort of advice or guiding people through things over the phone, is there insurance that sort of covers the advice that you guys give? How assured are we on it?
You're very assured. You're 10 million assured on one side.
That'll do.
So we're insured. We've got the right in public liability, professional indemnity. We have had over 11,000 calls. We've never had an incident. So that's quite nice. And part of that is because our engineers are experienced. They tend to be a bit older. They know how far they can push a tenant. We're not going to have Doris in her 70s stripping down an Ideal Mexico in the back room. It just won't happen. And so they're very good at hand holding tenants and seeing how far they can take them, and also how far they have, how happy the tenant is to be taken.
Let me tell you, an Ideal Mexico was the boiler of its day.
It was. They're very good.
Standing, solid boiler, and you could hear it coming up the road like a tank. It was
that's right. That's right. Yeah, they were very.
So, looking at this, is there one particular sort of agent that this fits for? Is it better? Do you see it as being the kind of product that is only good for sort of major property managers over a certain volume, or does it work with any size of business?
It works with any size of business. We work with agents that have 20 units all the way up to those that have, tens of thousands of units. And I think it works to fix different problems. Okay. So for instance, for the larger agencies that are growing but don't want to keep recruiting, we're a solution there. So if you don't want to have to keep hiring new property managers to grow, then if you plug us in, then that plugs that gap. For agents that are looking for a brilliant out of hours solution, we're here to help with that, because we're very effective out of hours, especially coupled in with fixed flow. For the smaller agents that for someone that's just starting out that wants to grow their fully managed portfolio but can't really afford to get to that hiring of a property manager stage, or just doesn't want to, we're amazing. So any size of agents that wants to grow without having to grow their overhead, we would be a good fit for.
It sounds absolutely obvious, but it really can't be overstated. That out of hours service is a lifesaver. A lot of agents, and I'm talking even the best agents, until fairly recently, didn't have an out of hours service that was fit for purpose. It would work on the basis that, there was an answer phone message with Andy the builder's number on it, and if you got Andy before 8:30 when he hit the pub, then he might stand a reasonable chance of telling you he'd come and look at it tomorrow and you shouldn't worry about it. Or if you got him after 8:30, the advice you were getting was not really what you want. And so many people operated on that kind of ad hoc basis, just that we were doing the bare minimum. But you've got a proper sort of 24/7 switched on solution where they're getting kind of care, whether it's 3 a.m. or 3 p.m. They're getting clear guidance, aren't they?
Yeah, well, it works. It works out of hours for lots of reasons. So the first reason is, even with our engineer workforce, they prefer to take calls in the evenings. So they make more money when they take calls in the evenings. We don't charge more, by the way, but it works for them. Tenants get home from work, And actually, how many tenants are sitting there at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and noticing a dripping tap? They don't.
Yeah.
They finish work, they get home, they notice that the tap is dripping, they report it, and then they have to wait. Whereas with our service, they report it, 10 seconds later, they get a link, they click it, and then they're connected to someone over video. So you've got that instant customer service.
Yeah.
But the main value is, with a standard out of hours service, you usually look at a 30 to 35% physical dispatch. So someone calls up with a problem. This is the problem. There's water pouring through my ceiling, and it's really, really bad. Everything's terrible. And then they send out a contractor. With our service, we reduce dispatches down to 7%. So 93% from calls to dispatch. We sit anywhere between sort of 6 and 8%. Because a lot of issues, once you get visibility over them, well, that water pouring through a ceiling could have come from a bath waste and the tenant's just had a shower. Or it could be a very small containable drip that can wait till the next day and is no danger to anyone. Or they might have no heating and hot water, but we've opened the motorized valve and we've restored heating until normal working hours when someone can go. So we only dispatch in like extreme emergencies, and then when the person does go, so if we do dispatch, they usually know which part they've got to take to actually fix it, rather than just go there, turn everything off and then leave again. We can do the turning off bit until they get there. So yeah, we're very popular out of hours. I would say a lot of the clients that we're onboarding now there are some real big ones in there that are looking to improve their out of hours solution. They might have something in place, but to actually improve that and to reduce those awkward conversations with landlords about, I got a £450 bill for someone to turn the water off, like those are the things that we help with. So yeah, especially good for Christmas.
It's superb. Anybody watching this, there are tons and tons of case studies that triaging really does save time, it saves money, and it saves a lot of drama and hassle at odd hours of the night. But it is going to save your landlord's money. You will come out of it better as an agent, because you can go to bed at night knowing that your repairs are being covered properly, and that you've got protocol in place for because everybody has their own sort of triaging limits, if you like, of what constitutes something that's urgent, what can wait till the next day, what are you authorized to do straight away. So it's absolutely essential that you get that right, and I see that it can add a lot of value to the agency and also their team, but more importantly their clients. And I think if you can, in prop tech, if you can actually sort of hit all three bits of value, which is the company benefits, the staff working in the company benefit, and it benefits the client, that's got to be the holy trinity that everybody's looking for.
I think if you're in a shrinking market like we are at the moment, and you are an agent that actually is looking to differentiate yourself on value, I think it's, that there's competing on price and then it's competing on value, and we definitely sit in both of those sides, because essentially, we offer the value as in, if you've got an emergency at your property, more than likely we'll stop any damage from happening. So you've got visibility over your investment. We will help your customers, the tenant, to essentially get connected quicker and be happier. And we're going to save you money. That's something valuable that you can take out and compete on Fully Managed for, rather than saying, well, we're cheaper than Bob around the corner.
It takes good customer service to excellent customer service every time, because your tenants are getting that attention that they might not already have got elsewhere, and it does a lot for the reputation of the industry, not just the actual agents themselves. So thank you for all the amazing work that you're doing. Anybody that's interested in having a look how Help Me Fix can help their business, reach out and get in touch with Etan and his team. The demo isn't very painful at all. They'll take you through it. They'll show you how it works, and they're lovely people to deal with, which makes it easier. So thank you for your time.
Thanks very much for having me on. Cheers.
Pleasure.
Bye.